Hello, welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Today, or it's almost daytime. It's still dark at this particular moment. We have from 1882, Christian Brothers V.S.O.P. Well, I don't know if the V.S.O.P. is from 1882, but the brand Christian Brothers Brandy is from 1882, California. Established by the Catholic Order of the Christian Brothers. Currently a Heaven Hill brand. The Christian Brothers Order sold their operations in 1987. And they just basically licensed the name to get a percentage of the profits for the order. But Heaven Hill is running the show. You know, that was the case as well with West Lateran 12. You know, the St. Sixtus Abbey, they had it farmed out for years, but then what happened was they realized the ruling came down from the Trappist Association that they could not be considered a Trappist ale if they continued to do that without the monks, in fact, producing the beer themselves. So they went back to the monk produced. But the brothers, they just, after the original, you know, the long time brother Theodore died, there was less, I guess, interest or ability to do it. Now, so they plus the overhead is probably very high, the facilities. And they said on the Christian Brothers website, they were just less people getting involved in religious life, less brothers. So as their numbers declined, there really wasn't, I guess, the ability. Okay, well, anyway. Saint Remy is from 1886, so only 4 years later, started doing brandy. And from what I can tell on their website, the VSOP didn't hit the market until 1980. So we're talking about 37 years ago. And I don't know when the Christian Brothers VSOP came. They don't say on the website. Let's see. Saint Remy. No, Christian Brothers CB. Okay. Appearance. Well, they're both amber, gold. One is a little higher than the other, but I'll keep topping them off, trying to even them out. Pretty soon I'll have two full mini snifters, and I don't really want to do that at this early although I wouldn't do it, really wouldn't care to do it anyhow. Okay, some other differences. Let's see. They're both aged in oak barrels. Obviously, the Saint Remy and French oak. Both 80 proof, both extra aged. How long? I don't know. They don't really say on the websites, and they don't say on the bottles. So probably about 4 to 6 years, something like that. I think to be a VSOP, it has to be 4 years. Brandy is not as strictly regulated as whiskey. Okay, whiskey has to give an age statement if it's under 4 years aged. Brandy, I'm not too sure. Just like whiskey, if they use natural colors or flavorings or even artificial color, they have to give a disclosure on the label. Brandy does not. It could, it may. It's optional. It's not required from what I can see on the regulations. Saint Remy, they use a column still method to produce the brandy, column still. Cognac in France, cognac brandy has to use the copper pot still, I believe, to be cognac. There's some regulations about that. Plus, it has to come from that part of France, the Cognac region, close to the sea on the western side of France. Now, the Christian Brothers brandy still uses the copper pot still method, the old time method out there in California, or it could be in New York, because heaven, or even Kentucky. They just say on the bottle that it's bottled in Kentucky. But they do use, they say that right on the website, they use the copper pot still method. And you can look at pictures of these copper pot stills. It's like a big copper pot. And then other brandy companies, I think the vast majority of the brandy in America and probably the world uses the more modern column still. Continuous distillation process is more efficient, but some people say the brandy is not as good. Now the Saint Remy uses the column still, but they say it's double distilled. They double distill it. And then there's a big old long thing on their website. I got it, the link posted, all about, oh, it's so wonderful, and it is the #1 French brandy in the world. It's especially popular in Nigeria, but not the VSOP. In Nigeria, the popular one is the red label, which we don't get, or well, which I've not seen. Let me say it like that. Let's see, what is it called? The yeah, XO, the red label XO. Now the VSOP is the real common one. In the black bottle, which they introduced in 1949, if you look at the bottle carefully under a direct light though, shining through the bottle, it's really dark, dark, dark brown. It's actually a brown bottle, not black. Amber with golden highlights. Yeah, I just showed that. Fresh and fruity nose, balanced with woody and vanilla notes. That's usually what you're going to get with these brandies. Sort of like grape whiskey. Smooth and well-balanced notes of vanilla and red berry in the taste. Smooth and mellow finish. Yeah. Notice that. And VSOP, they're saying the Christian Brothers established the winery at Villa de la Salle in Martinez, California as a means of producing altar wine. Right. Sacramento wine, and then they'd start doing the brandy. And they're talking about awards. Christian Brothers brandy has a tempting fruity bouquet. Yes. And soft, subtle texture. Yes. The body is the full body. I didn't notice it was necessarily full bodied. Maybe it was, from what I could see, medium bodied. Imbued with layers of well-balanced fruit flavors and a warm, lingering finish. I thought it was more like a medium finish, but they're the experts. I'm not. I noticed the bottle is different, though. The bottle they're showing on Heaven Hill's website, it's a different. This part's different. This just has an embossed CB in the glass. They're showing a round label with a sticker in there, the CB in a grape. A little fancier what they're showing. And then they're showing a blue neck, VSOP blue. This one has the garnet with the blue stripe at the bottom. So they have changed the label. Just didn't update it on the website. Is that unusual? No, it is not. Beer, wine, and liquor, you'll notice these websites tend to be very negligent about updates. Saint Remy tell you about their distiller master, Martin Pan, one of the few female women distiller masters. Martin Pan. Okay, taste time. I got it well mixed. Now they show cocktails here on their website. Saint Remy. Saint Remy. Saint Remy. I need to put that hyphen. There's a hyphen between the Saint and the Remy. It might serve the same purpose as a period, but they're not showing. They're showing a hyphen. They got the T up ticked. That's the period part. Okay, we'll fix that. Yeah, you see now they got the small batch, the private reserve, the XO. I'm sure those are a lot more expensive. Now the VSOP, the common one, at Walmart, it's about $14. Just like the Christian Brothers Grand Reserve is about $15. Cocktails. Saint Remy and Cola. Saint Remy Ginger Ale. Saint Remy Ginger Beer. Ceramique Cafe. And there's the recipe. Oh, they also make a à la crème. That's a liqueur. And there's Saint-Remy French honey. It's a honey brandy. So, I mean, if you follow the liquor world, whiskey, brandy, gin, anything, it's all flavor. Everything is flavored. Hello, Matt. Good morning, says Toadmaster. Hello, Matt. Good morning to you. So that's the big thing right now. Flavored whiskey, flavored brandy, flavored gin. Well, you know, you don't have to make a cocktail because it's pre-made, pre-mixed, and that's everywhere. That may be as popular as the dang straight stuff, from what I can tell. I'm going to do a little challenge and get it done and get over to the store. I got to do some purchasing of not alcohol, other things like bread. Okay. Spice, yes. Spice. Oh, rye. Like, is this Heaven Hill? You know, because maybe they, I don't know. Grape skins, dried fruit, candied fruit, right? Some alcohol burn. Oh, smells really good. Yeah, $15. What a deal. Okay. Oh, this one is much more sweet, sugary. This one is almost like turned fruit, like the fruit, you know, it got too ripe and started to, you hate to say rot, but you'll get that with some of these brandies now. Don't you love the smell of rotted fruit? Come on, the flies will start. Good thing I got screens in the window. So that right there, I'm thinking Saint-Remy. Because you get these French brandies and they all have that kind of I think this is Saint-Remy. And I think this is the Christian Brothers. Right off the nose. Just off the nose. I'm going to call it. I'm calling it. But let me taste it real fast. The predominant flavor is sugar with some rye spice. If you want to drink alcohol that tastes very much like candy, you know, like liquid candy with alcohol in it, brandy might be for you. And I can imagine if you drink too much of this, you would be so sick. All that sugar. I would hate to be you drinking too much of this stuff. Boy, but this is almost like on its own a liqueur. A candy alcohol. That's how sweet it is. Now I regret eating the Pop-Tarts before this because it's too much sugar. Should have eaten egg. You would want this with like eggs and bacon, like salty things. You wouldn't want sugar with sugar. No. Yeah, this has candy too, but it's more of a honey than a sugar. And you get the underlying grape skin, the tannin. This has more of a tannin. It has a little like a little bitter to cut the sugar. It's hard to describe. These things are hard to describe. There's even almost like an olive oil presence. And it's really strange. It's like Mediterranean. You're like, well, France is next to the Mediterranean Sea, right? Gallic liquor. You know, the Gauls were from Asia Minor, you know, Turkey. That's right. They weren't from France. They were from Well, back then it was Asia Minor, Little Asia. The Turks were way out, in, in Asia and Turkestan. Then there was some other tribes that moved in with, they had these invasions with the Persians and everything. And the Gauls fled, half the Gauls fled west. And they moved to West France today, and they set up their little area, and they call that Gaul, because that's who lived there, Gauls. So people had a lot of Gaul. And then you had Galatia in Asia Minor, Galatia. So when St. Paul wrote to the Galatians, he was writing to the Eastern Gauls, right? Yeah, just like the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths. The Eastern Goths. And then the Visigoths were the Western Goths. That's the ones that went around through Spain and then North Africa and attacked Rome from the south. Oh, well. This has got to be the Christian Brothers. It's too sugary to be the Saint Remy. Let's check it out and decide. Or not decide, determine. Oh, wait. Ard says, hello. I just finished drinking a quart of Prince Igor vodka. Oh, that sounds like an extremely bad idea. Not to say that Prince Igor is bad. I don't know about that vodka. Drinking the amount would sound bad. Wayne Banks says the apple is pretty decent. You talking about the Christian Brothers apple? Yeah, I bought that for somebody for his birthday. I never tried it. He said, yeah, it was good. He didn't say too much. Also, you should do more historical videos. I know. I need to. I got so many, though. But I might do. So I got to think of something. Political videos get people mad, they get angry. But historical, they can't, because I'll just say, hey, that's the past. I'm just talking about what happened. I didn't do it. It's the history. It's history. Wayne says, is it better than Hurricane? Laugh out loud, your best review ever. I'm not sure which hurricane you're talking about. Because I've done 6% hurricane, hurricane high gravity. We've done examine hurricane. Okay, it's got to be Christian Brothers. Can you read what I wrote? Oh, yeah, CB. Yeah. And STR, Saint Remy. Yeah, it's just, these are distinct, man. You cannot, you know what I mean, man? You cannot confuse these two. So is French brandy a lot like American brandy? No, not really. Not at all. I like them both, but I can see how, oh yeah, earthquake. Oh, I don't even like to think about that, because when I think about it, I have flashbacks and I kind of like have to grit my teeth. I feel nauseous. I even threw the can away. I couldn't bear to look at the can. Every time I saw the can, it made me think of it. But now I have a 10% earthquake can, which is a very horrible and terrible and evil and wicked and disgusting product. But I can actually drink it, although I hate it with great hatred of hate. But I know a guy, and this is a true story. He is a bulk merchandiser for Southern Eagle around here. He said, oh, that stuff's good. What are you talking about? I drink that when I get home from work. I said, you drink a whole 24-ounce can? Oh, yeah. I said, I don't know how you can stomach it. It's just nightmarish to me. It's one of their products they distribute. They also distribute Four Loko. He said, I drank that Four Loko Gold. He must have a cast iron stomach, because if I drank, I would throw up. I mean, I could barely tolerate sipping it down. Oh, anyway, let's get off of earthquake. I don't want to. Let's talk about good things, not bad things. I can see how French brandy would turn somebody off. It's got that, I'm telling you, it's got that turned fruit. So if you buy just go to your local liquor store and you'll see the French brandy, the Saint Remy, the Remy Martin. Well, I never had Remy Martin, but the Salignac, yeah, Salignac, that's cognac. That Fleur de Lis Napoleon VSOP, you might get that. That's bottled in America, but it's distilled in France. A lot of this stuff is bottled in America. A lot of imported liquor is bottled here. They just ship it over in these big tankers. But they all have that turned fruit. It's like really strange. I think the French people like odors that we would be repelled by, but it tastes good. And I think Americans want sweeter stuff, like more sugary. So that's why I think the American brandy appeals to Americans. It's just like more of a sugary product. Plus, it doesn't have that kind of weird turned fruit. ARWD, AWD, odd says, why is beer in America cheaper than beer in Canada? Because Canada has extremely high taxes. Okay. Wayne Banks said, I will stick with Hennessy. Yeah, you know, Hennessy, now that you mention that, it doesn't have as much of the turned fruit smell. It does have it. It's just not as profound or pronounced. Or the Courvoisier does not either. Well, you know, they're produced predominantly for the American market. So they might get them to where they are like American style more. Yeah. I remember when Nicole, you know, tasting niche, she was living in France, and I said, somebody told me that people in France don't really drink brandy and cognac. She said, I go to bars all the time, and she doesn't live over there anymore, but she said, when I go to bars, I never see anybody drinking it. She said they'll have it on the shelf, you know, maybe, but she said, I just don't see people drinking it. So she said, no one ever talks about it. Apparently, it's just not popular. It's made there, but it's just not. You want to, you know, brandy's very popular in America and in East Asia, okay? That's the market. China, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. That's your, let's say like Singapore. That is your big cognac and brandy area, okay? India, South Asia. So, but in Europe, I don't think. I mean, you might say, yeah, but they got 40 million people in Europe drink brandy. I know, but there's 500 million people in Europe. Anyway, but it's all over the world. They got all this. People ask me from time to time, what about the Russian brandy? Why you never talk about that? Why you never talk about the brandy from Armenia and from Belarus and Ukraine? Why you don't? I said, because I never see it. It's not a, I don't like it, or I have an issue with it. I don't see. I wanted to get the brandy from India, that one that's really popular in India. It's made in India, you know, it's really, but it's owned by some European company. But I went back to international market, they didn't have it because it wasn't selling. It starts with an H. It's not Hartley. Hartley is American. It's something like that. It's like, I can't remember, Harvey or something like that. In India, they all know, they all drink. Oh, and yeah, and in Mexico, Presidente is very big. Mexico. Staunch risk indicated. Thanks for watching, SRI. Brandy and breakfast. Thumbs up. Yeah, this is post-breakfast, actually. I already had the 3 cups of coffee. The blueberry Pop-Tarts from Kellogg's. But actually, this would go much better with scrambled eggs, let's say bacon, or the patty sausage, the hot, grits, and Tabasco sauce on that with black pepper. And probably some yellow onions chopped up and fried with the eggs, because you don't want to, the sweet with sweet to me just does not work. You need something to cut the sweetness. But anyway, oh well. Which one was better? Oh yeah, which one was better? It was a tie. they both had their little attributes that made them worthwhile. But like I said, the main point, they are not alike. They're distinctive. French brandy, American brandy, nah, not too similar. Sorry, just not similar. Oh well. Thanks for watching this video production, and see what happens down the road. And look, daylight.